So we're going to actually fire this up for the first time.
Very exciting.
We tested everything yesterday to make sure everything was working correctly, and then we're going to actually officially fire up this car and turn the wheels for the first time and make sure everything's working. We went through all the AEM stuff, we went through all the VCU programming, which is a vehicle control unit. All our BMSs are intact, everything's kind of up and running. We tested our high voltage last night to make sure that's all plumbed correctly. So we still have to actually turn the car on and plug in the high voltage. We didn't want to leave that plugged in because whenever we build a car for the first time, we want to make sure someone's here. So overnight, it's not like just sitting here and things could go wrong. So everything got unplugged last night. We still have to go in and tie up a lot of this stuff. We haven't done that yet because we want to make sure that everything's working perfectly before we actually tie up on any of this. So excuse the blue tape, but that's just temporary till we get 100% satisfaction on both of our ends that everything is working, communicating. Because once you put something in permanently, then you got to rip it all out.
Are we plugged in at the front?
No, but I think we should be.
So you're turned off at the back
Okay,
right now.
back is off. We just want to make sure.
Your 12 volts coming on.
12 volts on?
12 volts. I heard a click as if the key's on. Do you mind checking if that's...
Yeah, I want to double check that thing's off.
So is that on or accessory?
I don't know yet. That's accessory. Yeah, we're shut off.
So we hooked up here.
So high voltage is on?
High voltage is off.
Off, okay.
Unless you turned it on when I wasn't looking.
No, it's off.
All right, high voltage on.
All right. The wheels off the ground?
Wheels are off the ground.
All right, fire in the hole. All right, it's on.
Hit a click.
Hold on a second, I gotta reestablish connection to the TTC. All right, we got 394 volts on tap.
Okay.
I'm gonna put her in the drive.
Voltage to the inverter.
I don't see any smoke.
I don't smell anything yet.
All right, I heard something engage.
I can hear the buzz.
Right.
Hey.
Yeah! Woo!
Does it go backwards?
What's that?
Does it go backwards?
It should. Let's try reverse.
Yeah. All right.
Reverse. Just want to make sure everything's working, but yeah, we got full power, 394 volts. Our temperatures are coming up right, and so everything's communicating quite well.
We got a few little things to tie up. We got a brake switch that needs to go in. Obviously the wires have got to be now tied up now that we know exactly where they're going and that everything is functioning as it should. Cooling system, we've got to put the radiator in and fill it up, and then that's kind of it. This thing will be a runner.
Steering wheel would be nice.
Steering wheel, actually, you're right.
Just
a little details, you know?
Will says something about seats.
Seats?
Yeah.
No.
There's a crate over there. Is there? You got a milk crate? We got a milk
No,
crate.
we got a milk crate. But that whole entire instrument cluster got completely redone because this is a different system that you guys had in it before, which is 400 volts, so everything had to change. All the parameters had to change, so the whole instrumentation had to change.
I remember you talking about that question. So the unit itself had to change because it wasn't compatible?
Correct.
Or was it, okay.
Yeah, we're all CAN bus now.
Okay.
So this car has 6 CAN networks in it now, right? Including the TTC? Or is it 5?
Only 5.
Only 5. Just 5 networks.
This is a CAN bus based EV gauge. This is our motor temp and our amps drawn gauge right here. We have another gauge like this that's going to monitor the state of charge and the battery coolant temperature. We also have the GPS based speedo.
Isn't that cool? I mean, we have a 1934 car now with, CAN networks in it, more horsepower than it's ever seen in its life. It's got over 600 to over 200 miles of range on this thing. On top of that, we have GPS as a speedometer in a 1934. Should I kill the high voltage?
Done it. Thanks, done. Good. Thank you.
Coming down.
All right, so what you're looking at here is the contactor box. So this is your power distribution, really. This is your battery comes in here, and the motor power comes out here. And this is controlled by the motor controller. It's controlled by the vehicle controller unit. This is kind of the heart of the high voltage system. The astute amongst you will notice it's 3D printed. That's not permanent. This is the prototype because we want to make this a product. Our machinist right now is machining us a billet box for this. It's going to have cooling fins to keep the heat down, and this thing's going to be a real like jewel of the front of this car.
We try to put this as far back as possible. It can't go back any further.
Yeah.
So if Bodie needs to move it, we can move it.
Okay.
We just prefer.
Where would it go? My God.
That's the problem is.
It didn't always live here. That was the benefit of the 3D print. So it was going to live up here on the firewall.
That's what I thought. Okay,
Yeah,
so it
yeah,
was
yeah.
that piece. Okay,
It was.
that's what I thought.
But when we 3D printed it, it does fit in this space. But when you put connectors on the side of it, and when you actually try and fit it in there, you can't. There's no way to maneuver it in there. So that's the benefit of 3D printing, because
Yeah.
otherwise we'd have made a billet one and found out that
Yeah.
a billet one doesn't fit. So this is now designed.
This is a lot
It should
bigger than the
fit
other
pretty
one,
much
too.
anywhere.
It's
Yeah.
about 1.5 inches.
Yeah. It also has more provisions. So we have accessory contactors in here. You can run if you had 400 volt air conditioning, or if you had a battery heater, or anything like that. We have the provisions to do that right in this box. And your VCU would say, hey, turn on battery heater. And it would go click, and your battery heater would turn on.
If
So-
Tim wants to change something later in the car and go,
Yeah.
oh, I want heat, I want this heat,
Yeah.
or I want air conditioning, or I want something,
Yeah.
we put more into this box for scalability. So that clicking you're hearing is all the contactors firing for the high voltage. So we got a pre-charge, a negative, and a positive contactor. All
There
right.
you go. I hear it.
Now you can see everything spin underneath.
There you go. The weave on the driveline makes the whole thing look like it's.
It's all the noises that you would not hear with an internal combustion. You would not hear any of that brake, any of that kind of sliding you're hearing.
Yeah, all you're hearing is just the mechanics of
Yeah.
U-joints, brakes that haven't been broken in yet.
Key off already?
Key off, you want to kill the high voltage?
High voltage off.
All right.
And now that isn't something you're going to have to do, obviously, every time.
No.
It's kill the high voltage. Because we're working on it, we're going to have our hands inside that box. We're making a habit of, and it's a good habit to get into if you're working on this stuff, is when you stop working, kill the high voltage.
People forget how dangerous this stuff is, and how
That's fine, thanks.
like you could get electrocuted, and not only that, I mean, drop something in there, it could cause sparks and
Yeah.
fire.
Oh, if you drop a wrench, it would put a wrench in the works. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, I've been hit by this stuff more than once with up to almost 400 volts. It's DC, it's dangerous. I'm not going to go into how much more or less dangerous it is than AC because I don't want to give anybody the false sense of security with working with this type of stuff. But when you start dropping tools into these things, that's when things get really ugly. Getting electrocuted, you get warned very quickly that it's live, and you back off, and you're like, okay, it bit me. And you go up on your day. When you drop something metal into these things, and you don't realize it, I've seen it happen a few times.
That'll ruin your whole day.
Oh, it's.
Ruin your whole week.
Oh,
We're going to a traditional style radiator versus using the high efficiency C-traps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it was back and forth.
Well, the problem
whole
is
thing.
I can't get the air out of the top of the radiators. So when we've got those radiators, I said, no big deal. We'll just weld on a bung on the top that we could purge and fill it
Okay.
with. Well, we went to go do that, and the company who makes the radiators like, don't even try to attempt to weld these. That particular style of radiator cannot be welded. Once it's been assembled and sweated together, if you weld on it, it's just going to open itself up. And,
So, I'm sorry.
oh, God.
So then what is your plan for, you said it's going to be, I forgot your,
It's going to be 100% custom built for
Okay.
this car versus trying to use a system that we know works and kind of make it fit.
yeah.
So now we're going into a full 100% build. I sketched it all out the other day, and now we're going to send it off to a gentleman that I just got in touch with through one of my other hot rod shops. And that's just all he does is build custom radiators. When I deliver this car, I don't want it to be difficult to work on. I want to be like, okay, if there's a problem, drain it, fill it, like any other car.